Hey, welcome in a little weekend action, that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. Go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And just a little quick one here. Little news dump here. Friday news dump, courtesy of Oklahoma. Wanted to keep everyone posted on it. But Brent Venables, new contract at Oklahoma after going 16-10 in 2 seasons as a head coach. Thoughts on that? Why are they giving this man a contract extension right before next week, officially joining the SEC July 1st? For anybody that is unaware, I think they're trying to create some buzz for that as well. But a lot of, appreciate your cousin Tyler. First one in here, little unannounced emergency style podcast. Wish I could have got on a little bit quicker. Can't quite call this an emergency because it's been happening for a couple hours. But, hey, I'm here. Just want to fill you guys in. Thoughts on Brent Venables. Again, getting a contract extension. For anybody that missed the details, new 6-year contract for Brent Venables. Has he earned it? That's a fair thing to ask. Is he worth the money? Well, he's gone 16-2. Now, if he went 16-2, he's worth the money. 16-10. You look at what Oklahoma did before he got there. Obviously, a little different story, And when Lincoln left, he took a lot of players with him, so can't totally hold it against Brent Venables. But when this was announced that Oklahoma has signed Venables to an extension, honestly, I was scratching my head, saying, "What in the hell are we doing with this?" Not a big fan of this extension. And I'll tell you why real quick. Because I think a head coach, particularly a first-time head coach, well, and then it's compounded because we're joining the SEC, obviously. So I want to see how Oklahoma does under Brent Venables in the SEC before we start giving out extensions. I think that's important. But really, a first-time head coach replacing his coordinators for the first time, I think that's how you really get an indication of how good of a coach someone is. And obviously, he's not just a coach anymore, right? He's running a program and arguably the most prestigious program in college football history. How does he find assistants, and particularly coordinators, to help run his ship? Because things were going great under Sam Pittman until we had to find new coordinators. And that's just one example, but that can kill you. So those two things, I really want to see how they're going to do in the SEC. I really want to see how these two new coordinators, and that's not to question Seth Luttrell, the new offensive coordinator. He was already on staff. He was on the national championship team as a player. He's been a head coach. He's more than qualified to be our offensive coordinator. So I'm not doubting him, but I wasn't doubting Dan Enos this time last year either. So, again, he's not Dan Enos, but I think it's fair to maybe wait and see a little bit to see how this works out. And the other one is Zach Alley, who worked under Venables, worked at Clemson with him, and he has got defensive coordinator experience, not at this level, obviously. He was at Jacksonville State and another smaller school before he got here to Oklahoma to be our defensive coordinator. But again, I'm not calling these guys out. I'm not saying they're bad coordinator hires, but I really wanted to see how they work out in the SEC. Now, having said all that, I laid out the reasons I would not have done this. But then I did some digging. I did some research before. That's another reason why I didn't want to just hop on here. I really wanted to dig into the numbers. So this is being touted as a Brent Venables 6-year new contract. It's not 6 years, really. It's 6 years in total. But what they've given him is they've given him a 2-year extension, and he was already projected on average to make $7.2 million. And what they've done, they've given him about $400,000 of extra money. So 2 years, keeping the 725 plus 400,000. So really, we're just extending this guy's deal. We're doing it for recruiting. We're doing it to prove when we come into the SEC, we're on solid footing. We have no doubt this is our guy. Again, I'm not so sold on it exactly, but that's the logic. So I get it. And another thing to pay attention to, and this is I think more important than the details of giving him essentially all this is 2-year extension and a slight pay bump. I think he's earned that. I think he's earned a pay bump, and based on last season, you could argue he's deserved a 2-year extension. But shout out our buddy Carter Carrolls over at 24/7 Sports. He covers Texas A&M. He's been on the show. He has found in Mike Elko's contract that there is language that, if you're unaware, we're going to start paying the players officially, not in 2024, but I believe the 2025 season. And they can actually renegotiate Mike Elko's contract because they're going to have to start paying the players. They may not be able to pay the coaches as much. And Mike Elko was fine with that. So I have no idea if Brent Venables has that language work into his contract, but I bet you it does. I guarantee you that Elko's not the only one doing this. So that would be my guess. And also, I think the most importantly, and I have no idea, so I tried to find it, but it's unclear. I don't think anyone will know until they actually see the contract. But what happened to Brent Venables' buyout? Did it change at all? His original deal was 6 years with a 7.25 average, and it was fully guaranteed. Is it still fully guaranteed? I don't know. I'd be interested to know what the buyout is. If that has changed at all, I would kind of assume that it would. But again, we can't just assume all that. But real quick, I just want to say, again, you may be wondering, what the hell is this guy proving? One good year to make $7.25 million, which is fair. But then you sit here and here's where Venables is going to rank now in SEC coaching pay. It hasn't changed really. Kirby Smart's at the top. He's earned every penny, $13 million. Kalen DeBoer's done nothing in this conference, but hell of a resume. $10.8 million he makes a year. Steve Sarkisian, he just got a pay bump because Alabama's job came open. Steve Sarkisian is going to make $10.6 million. So Sarkisian, 10.6, Venables, 7. I think Oklahoma's getting a hell of a deal right there if you base it on that. Brian Kelly, $9.6 million a year he's making. Lane Kiffin, Josh Heupel, Mark Stoops for some damn reason, and Eli Drinkwitz, who I know Drinks did a good job last year, but Drink and Stoops are not worth $9 million, I don't think, unless if Drink keeps it up, he's worth it, but we'll see if he can do that. Mark Stoops is not worth $9 million. Would you rather have Venables at 7.2 or Stoops at 9? Give me Venables all day. And even Billy Napier makes more now, or he was already scheduled to make more than Brent Venables. So Napier makes $7.3 million. And even Mike Elko, who just hired first time to be A&M's head coach, he's making less. He's making $7 million. So that you're just kind of putting them in a ballpark of middle of the road SEC coaches. So this is not some wild contract that they should not have given them, in my opinion. So apologies, I've been ignoring the comments. We'll get to it. See if we got any questions in here. But yeah, Boomer Venables, he's got it dead on. This is essentially a 2-year extension. People getting worked up over nothing. This is exactly right. It's a slight pay bump. You're adding 2 years. Recruiting's going outstanding, and you're sitting here saying, all right, we believe in our guy. This is going to help recruiting. This is going to help come into the SEC with even more years on our coach's contract. So I get all that. He's dead on there. But Tyler says, and I would agree with this. I think they should have waited a year to see how they do in the SEC. I think that's a fine sentiment to believe too. I'm kind of in that camp, because what happens if they just fall off, which I don't think is going to happen. But what if they are terrible in the SEC? Again, this won't kill you because you just gave them 2 extra years and not a big pay bump. But it is interesting. Michael Riley says, please tell me Billy isn't getting one too. No extension for Billy Napier, not as of yet. He beats Miami. We may have to give him an extension. Yep. He beat Texas. No. What else we got here? Any questions here? Oh, Cousin Shane in the comments. Appreciate you. Who is happier, OU fans or the rest of the... See, Shane's part of the problem. He's sitting here saying, well, Venables getting an extension. By God. why are we extending this man who's gone 16-10 in 2 years, which is fair. Again, until you hear what I just laid out, they're just giving him 2 years deal and like $400,000 extra money. He's worth the 10th highest paid coach in the SEC. I think he's shown enough to prove that. So, but that is funny, Shade. Way to go. Helping the show. He's not even here. Uh, Anything else we got for I got? Again, we don't have to go long here. Just wanted to break it down. Again, I'm saying no, don't panic. Don't get caught up in the headlines and all that. So I do appreciate you guys showing up. Liquid Flames, do all the schools just figure they'll just buy it out if it doesn't work out? Well, here's the deal. And again, I don't know for Venables, but I would assume this is the case. There's a guy named Jimmy Sexton who's got all these guys over the barrel, and he can out-negotiate any of them. And the reason being is because he's all their agents. So the second Alabama's job comes open, who do they get on the phone? Jimmy Sexton, who represents Kalen DeBoer, Mike Norvell, Lane Kiffin, on and on and on. And he says, hey, he knows all the deals. He knows what everybody's making. You can't lowball him because he's got all the information. So yes, these guys are outclassed when it comes to the negotiations, and I would assume that, but I don't know for a fact. I would assume that Venables is a Jimmy Sexton client. Maybe Venables is not proven enough to be on the Jimmy Sexton client role, but I would imagine he is. Your head coach of Oklahoma, you're going to have outstanding representation. That's the way it is. If Napier goes 6-6 this year, Brent Venables needs to win 10, and I'm a Sooner fan. I think both things could realistically happen. I don't think it's that bad. Chicken says Brent Venables wants to take less to pay his coaches more. I could see that. I think that's a smart strategy. What happened? Now we're just getting into comments here, fighting, but. Cousin Shane says, Mike keeps adjusting my contract too. You're damn right. I've carried the show here while you're enjoying your Friday. So yes, you just took a pay dump right there. Anything else here before I jump off here? Someone wants to know, is my sister available? She is. Well, it depends on which one, but I don't think either one is available at this time. What else? Man, I'm missing these live streams. This is my favorite part, is getting to interact with you guys. So shoot me a question other than about my sister. But if you want me to keep going here, otherwise I'm going to end this one pretty shortly here. But just want to have reaction to Brent Venables getting a contract extension. Not really worth getting up in arms about. It was a Friday news dump. Again, Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC officially July 1st. So I think Oklahoma wanted some press, wanted some buzz going into that event. They're going to be asked about that, I would think, quite a bit. Cousin James says, never let the chat date your sister. That is outstanding advice. I do appreciate it. Cousin Tim, is Cousin Shane worth the money? Cousin Shane's worth every damn penny, and he's worth a truckload of Little Debbie's. That's my goal, is to get Shane, just back up the Little Debbie truck right to his door. We can just open that sucker up, compiling in there. Venables, better than Sark, says Cousin Luke. Remains to be seen, but they are 1-1 against each other. I believe Sarkisian killed him year one, and then Venables, of course, won last year, so we're tied. But how about this? Because I was just on another show. It's going to air later, but they were asking me about Texas and Texas A&M, and if it could be a series where coaching tenures get defined, kind of like the Iron Bowl and Georgia, Florida, on and on and on. And I made this point because I hear Texas people all the time say, A&M's not our rival. Oklahoma's our rival. You don't even keep up to date with all this. Well, what's Sark's record against is Oklahoma? He's got a losing record against Oklahoma. Does any Texas fan care? Does any Texas fan have his feet on the fires because he's got a losing record to Oklahoma? The answer is no. If he loses to A&M, again, they're not going to be firing him, but let's say he loses 2 years in a row to A&M. there's going to be people calling for that man's job. So absolutely, I think A&M Texas, one hell of a rivalry. Cousin Ken wants to know, Mike, why did you and Shane put the curse on Ole Miss? We've been doing it all off season. Sandman says, why give him a 6-year extension? Again, they didn't give him a 6-year extension. Rewind it. 2-year extension. 6-year deal. So he had 4 years left on his deal. They've added 2 years with a very minimal pay increase, like $400,000, which, again, Venables, $7.25 million. They're paying him less than Florida's paying Billy Napier to ruin their program. So, again, this is good value. Again, I wouldn't necessarily have done it. I would have waited a year, but I'm not freaking out either. I think potentially this is smart. Cousin Shay says, I work for free beer and Little Debbie. And I haven't gotten many Little Debbies in a while. I thought he was on a diet, but I do plan on bringing him a bunch of beer here very soon. Venables can't beat Kansas. Well, that's fair. That is fair. Ole Miss hires Deion. Anything else here? Cousin James says, I heard ESPN looking at Cousin Shane to be Feinbaum's successor. That's accurate. That's accurate. They could do a lot worse than Cousin Shane. Anything else here before I jump off here? 16 is a quick one, but just wanted to jump on. Again, not overreacting to any of this. Should not be concerned about Venables. Cousin Shane, you going to Oklahoma? Yes, sir. I think he's asking me. I don't know. I'll be there a week from today. I'll be in Norman, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma City, running wild out there. Shane's going to be so left out here. What we're going to do, we're going to try to go to all the best restaurants that they have in Oklahoma City, Norman, and film it. And we're going to make a how-to guide for SEC fans that have never been to Norman, like myself. I've never been there. So we're going to go. We're going to talk to people. We're going to eat at all the great foods. We're going to film the whole thing. Hopefully it doesn't turn out horrible, but we're excited. We've already got hotel accommodations paid for. We got a sponsor for the event and everything, so it's going to be awesome. Cousin John, is there another video tonight? I'm working on it. Probably not. Highly unlikely, but there will be one Saturday. We got another fall camp preview episode. We got 2 more filmed, and I'm trying to get a third one here. So, more coming. That's another reason why I wanted to hop on here, because I didn't think I could get this one done in time. So I wanted to give you guys at least one other thing reacting. There's obviously not a bunch of news in mid-June here, so I wanted to jump on here. But again, don't freak out. Brent Venables got a 2-year deal, $400,000 extra money. That's about it. I ain't too worried about it. Gator Shane. Yep, I kind of let the cat out of the bag. That's going to be our next one. That's the one I'm working on, the Florida preview. So that'll be up Saturday night, as long as my computer doesn't crash or anything, which I don't imagine it would. But there's always a stipulation. You never know. We're a small shop on here. But I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out, having some fun in the comments, talking about my sister. Cousin Shade, I appreciate you most of all for hopping on here. But, hey, I appreciate. We'll see you on the next one. And that's all I got. I'm ending this horribly. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye-bye.